Chapter 26. The Fight of Faith. Many of the youth have not a fixed principle to serve God. They sink under every cloud and have no power of endurance. They do not grow in grace. They appear to keep the commandments of God, but they are not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. Their carnal hearts must be changed. They must see beauty in holiness. Then they will pant after it as the hart panteth after the water brooks. Then they will love God and His law. Then the yoke of Christ will be easy and His burden light. If your steps are ordered by the Lord, dear youth, you must not expect that your path will always be one of outward peace and prosperity. The path that leads to eternal day is not the easiest to travel, and at times it will seem dark and thorny, but you have the assurance that God's everlasting arms encircle you to protect you from evil. He wants you to exercise earnest faith in Him and learn to trust Him in the shadow as well as in the sunshine. Living faith. The follower of Christ must have faith abiding in the heart, for without this it is impossible to please God. Faith is the hand that takes hold of infinite help. It is the medium by which the renewed heart is made to beat in unison with the heart of Christ. In her endeavors to reach her home, the eagle is often beaten down by the tempest to the narrow defiles of the mountains. The clouds in black, angry masses sweep between her and the sunny heights where she secures her nest. For a while, she seems bewildered and dashes this way and that, beating her strong wings as if to sweep back the dense clouds. She awakens the doves of the mountains with a wild cry in her vain endeavors to find a way out of her prison. At last, she dashes upward into the blackness and gives a shrill scream of triumph as she emerges. A moment later, in the calm sunshine above, the darkness and tempest are all below her. The light of heaven is shining about her. She reaches her loved home in the lofty crag and is satisfied. It was through darkness that she reached the light. It cost her an effort to do this, but she is rewarded in gaining the object which she sought. This is the only course we can pursue as followers of Christ. We must exercise that living faith, which will penetrate the clouds that, like a thick wall, separate us from heaven's light. We have heights of faith to reach, where all is peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. A lifelong conflict. Have you ever watched a hawk in pursuit of a timid dove? Instinct has taught the dove that in order for the hawk to seize his prey, he must gain a loftier flight than its victim. So she rises higher and still higher in the blue dome of heaven, ever pursued by the hawk, which is seeking to obtain the advantage. But in vain, the dove is safe as long as she allows nothing to stop her in her flight or draw her earthwards. But let her once falter and take a lower flight, and her watchful enemy will swoop down upon its victim. Again and again have we watched this scene with almost breathless interest, all our sympathies with the little dove. How sad we should have felt to see it fall a victim to the cruel hawk. We have before us a warfare, a lifelong conflict with Satan and his seductive temptations. The enemy will use every argument, every deception to entangle the soul, and in order to win the crown of life, we must put forth earnest, persevering effort. We must not lay off the armor or leave the battlefield until we have gained the victory and can triumph in our Redeemer. As long as we continue to keep our eyes fixed upon the author and finisher of our faith, we shall be safe. But our affections must be placed upon things above, not on things of the earth. By faith, we must rise higher and still higher in the attainment of the graces of Christ. By daily contemplating his matchless charm, we must grow more and more into his glorious image. While we thus live in communion with heaven, Satan will lay his nets for us in vain.